Golden State acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo. This time, it feels realer than ever. Now, there is a bit of competition around the league. Surely, other teams are interested in making a Giannis.
That was the reality only days ago. The rumors, the speculation, the non-stop what-ifs that had been floating around for years, but now it's finished. Giannis Antetokounmpo is officially a Golden State Warrior, and Draymond Green's contract could be waived this season. What exactly is going on with the Golden State Warriors? The Greek freak heads west in the blockbuster trade that changed everything. The moment Warriors fans have waited for through what feels like an eternity of speculation, rumor cycles, and endless hypothetical trades has finally arrived with a seismic impact that permanently reshapes the NBA landscape. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the two-time MVP, defensive monster, and physical marvel who has dominated basketball conversations for nearly a decade, is now officially part of the Golden State Warriors organization. This is not a drill. This is not another mock trade exercise. And this is absolutely not overzealous fans on social media crafting late-night dream scenarios. The Milwaukee Bucks, the franchise Giannis transformed from a perennial lottery team into true championship contenders, have officially moved on from their cornerstone superstar in what can only be described as one of the most consequential transactions in modern NBA history.
We got a lot to talk about in terms of the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade saga. I haven't been on the channel in a couple of days. I was on a little bit of a weekend trip, so there is a lot to discuss here.
The reporting that led up to this monumental move painted a picture of urgency, desperation, and calculated risk that ultimately defined how this deal came together. Multiple insiders described Golden State as the franchise making the strongest and most aggressive push for Giannis, with owner Joe Lacob and GM Mike Dunleavy Jr. making it clear that no player besides Stephen Curry was off limits in their pursuit of the Greek freak. The Warriors' front office operated with singular focus in the days leading up to the February 5, 2026 trade deadline, treating every other possible move, every roster decision, and every organizational priority as secondary to landing Giannis before time expired. Their offer was explicitly labeled pick-heavy by ESPN's Shams Charania, leveraging future draft capital in a way few franchises could realistically match.
You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Tyler Smith. Brett Siegel of Clutch Points saying the following. He says that to this point, the Bucks have not declined the Warriors' offer, according to sources.
What made the Warriors' package especially appealing to Milwaukee's decision-makers was the sheer volume of draft assets they could offer without violating the Stepien rule. Golden State included unprotected first-round picks in 2026, 2028, and 2032, along with a 2030 first-round pick carrying top 20 protection. The added pick swaps gave Milwaukee the type of long-term flexibility rebuilding teams desperately need when starting over from scratch. The player portion reflected Golden State's understanding that Giannis' roughly $54 million salary required major outgoing contracts to satisfy NBA cap rules. Jonathan Kuminga, the high-ceiling forward representing the Warriors' most promising homegrown talent in years, became the centerpiece heading to Milwaukee. Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody, each offering different levels of upside and immediate value, joined Kuminga in the move to Wisconsin. Bucks GM John Horst was reportedly intrigued by Golden State's future assets, recognizing that the mix of picks and young players provided the ideal rebuilding foundation once Milwaukee accepted that their title window with Giannis had closed. Timing also proved critical. Giannis was dealing with calf and ankle injuries that sidelined him for 4 to 6 weeks, forcing the Bucks to watch their franchise player sit while playoff hopes faded game by game. Frustration built on both sides, Giannis questioning the direction, and the front office questioning competitive viability, until trade talks became not just possible, but inevitable.
He says even though the Bucks could potentially get more by trading Giannis this summer than by 3 p.m. on Thursday, Ramona Shelburne of ESPN says that Giannis doesn't want to sit out the rest of the year, and that could cause some tension up in Milwaukee. Now, the problem is that the Bucks can't risk Giannis tearing his Achilles. He's dealing with the calf stuff. He's on the shelf right now.
The competition for Giannis extended well beyond Golden State, with several teams making serious offers to Milwaukee before the deadline. Miami proposed a balanced package featuring Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, Terry Rozier's expiring deal, and first-round picks in 2030 and 2032. Minnesota explored a more player-focused framework involving Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, and Rob Dillingham. The Knicks, despite limited draft capital after acquiring Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, stayed involved as well. Still, the Warriors emerged as the clear frontrunner throughout the process. Their aggressiveness and asset flexibility separated them from teams constrained by cap issues or limited picks. Golden State's proposal was viewed as one of the cleanest two-team deals available, avoiding the complicated multi-team constructions other bidders needed. Milwaukee chose certainty over waiting for summer offers, weighing injury risk, organizational tension, and shifting leverage. Giannis didn't want to sit the season out, while the Bucks preferred him sidelined for recovery and draft positioning. That misalignment accelerated negotiations. Winning games actively hurt Milwaukee's future, creating an untenable situation with a restless superstar. The Draymond dilemma became central. The trade that brought Giannis to the Bay required a sacrifice few fans believed would happen. Yet here we are, witnessing the end of an era. Draymond Green, the emotional core of 4 championships and the engine behind the Warriors' identity, became the salary key that made everything possible.
So who would that leave out? Yep, Draymond Green would be the one that ends up getting traded. It's the only way. Like, the Warriors just don't have the money on their books. They're not trading Steph. If they're not trading Jimmy, then the only other name that could go is Draymond Green.
NBA salary cap math made Draymond's inclusion almost unavoidable once Golden State committed to keeping Jimmy Butler. Butler's $54 million salary closely matched Giannis, forcing the Warriors to choose between including Butler or Green. The franchise decided that building around Curry, Giannis, and Butler was the best path forward, even if it meant parting with the longest-tenured member of their core. One rival executive suggested Green might even accept the move, believing he could return as a free agent the next summer. Draymond's $27.6 million player option added flexibility. Milwaukee had little interest in keeping him, preferring a waiver or buyout to avoid disrupting their rebuild. The emotional weight of this split cannot be overstated. The championships, the defense, the trash talk, the technicals, and the podcast moments defined an era. Reports confirmed Butler was untouchable, sealing Green's fate. The final framework sent Draymond, Kuminga, Podziemski, and Moody to Milwaukee, along with a massive haul of picks. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Gary Harris returned to Golden State for salary purposes. Giannis may not contribute, but he keeps Giannis happy, and that matters. Rumors of a third team surfaced, but Milwaukee ultimately handled Green's situation directly. Golden State sacrificed youth and identity to win now, striking before rivals could catch up.
Because the difference between the Warriors and a lot of teams that are making offers for Giannis at this point is that the Warriors do have that treasure trove of first-round draft capital. Other teams don't. And when the summer hits, a new year becomes unlocked in terms of tradable draft picks. So their offers will get better, but the Golden State Warriors offers will not. Like, they're still going to have the same number of picks they can send out. So they got to make this happen right now. And they got to strike before this other team strikes, the team that I think has the next best chance to acquire Giannis, if you consider the Warriors the favorites to make the deal.
Miami posed the biggest threat to Golden State's pursuit, offering a mix of immediate talent and flexibility. Talks between the Bucks and Heat continued, but Milwaukee wanted all of Miami's young pieces, including Tyler Herro. Miami hesitated, while Golden State pushed all in, keeping only Steph Curry off the table. That contrast proved decisive. Minnesota and New York never gained serious traction. The Knicks barely had one tradable first-round pick left. Minnesota's offers lacked long-term volume. Superteam scrutiny now follows. Comparisons to Kevin Durant's 2016 move are inevitable. Giannis now faces the same questions and criticisms Durant endured. League sources noted concerns about joining an aging team and facing similar backlash after Curry-centric dominance.
According to Jake Fisher, late Monday night, while Giannis does respect and has an affinity for Steph Curry, people around the league are wondering if he's actually wanting to team up with him. Here's the full quote from Jake Fisher's piece on Substack. Quote, league sources say that Golden State is aware of recent rumblings that Antetokounmpo can't be assumed to be as eager as he was once perceived to be to relocate to Stephen Curry's town and team. How credible are such rumblings? Presumably, only Giannis knows for sure. Yet I have heard from sources briefed on the situation that some in the know suspect Antetokounmpo could be turned off by the idea of joining an older team and or facing the sort of criticism that Kevin Durant continues to absorb to this day about teaming up with Curry, end quote.
Some believe Giannis was hesitant about joining an older roster or inheriting the same criticism Durant still faces. Those concerns didn't stop the trade, but they shape his mindset. Miami offered a culture not centered on one player, while Golden State remained Steph's team. Sam Amick reported Giannis saw Miami as a strong fit, but asset realities overruled preferences. On the court, the Curry-Giannis-Butler trio is terrifying. Few weaknesses exist. Depth suffers, but stars rule. Golden State emptied the cupboard to chase titles. Health becomes everything. Curry remains elite at 38. Giannis is still dominant at 31. Butler's ACL recovery looms large. Championship or bust defines this move. The West now shifts. OKC, Denver, and Dallas face a reshaped hierarchy.
He doesn't want to re-aggravate his injury. The Bucks don't want him to re-aggravate his injury because that takes him off the trade block completely if he tears his Achilles. So it feels like they've kind of conceded and said enough is enough. We're going to make this deal, and it's going to have to get done by Thursday in the afternoon. Insane.
For Milwaukee, rebuilding begins with youth and picks. Kuminga, Podziemski, and Moody form a foundation, while draft capital fuels flexibility. The league looks completely different. Giannis in Golden State, Draymond searching for his next chapter, and Milwaukee resetting everything mark seismic change. Debate over super teams will rage. Critics call it broken. Supporters call it earned. The truth sits somewhere in between. For Giannis, this move brings freedom and pressure. He escapes stagnation but inherits massive expectations. Draymond's possible return adds intrigue. Would he take less to finish with Steph? Maybe. The Warriors chose risk over decline. The cost was massive. The future is uncertain. But the present? Suddenly, it's bright again. Thanks for watching. Check out the cards on screen.